Good morning, and thank you for joining us here on Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm Uruaka Mimo. Now, we seem to have gotten off to a rocky start with our governors. We've heard demands for flags, seen walkouts at meetings, and by and large, power plays, which have all prompted outrage from the Kenyan public and a tongue-lashing from the former President Mwai Kibaki. Well, the governor of Bomet County, Isaac Ruto, is the chairman of the Council of County Governors. Now, regular panelist David Mekali is away. Sitting in for him is Waweru Mburu. We also have Mutegi Njau, both of Royal Media Services. Good morning and welcome to the program. We'll get into the demands for flags and others. But first, tell us about the Council of County Governors. What exactly does it do?
The Council of Governors is set in the Intergovernmental Relations Act to discuss and engage national government on various issues, including development and also the relationship between the two levels of government. Remember, under Article 6, both governments are interrelated and they cooperate, and they must carry out their activities in a consultative and cooperative manner. Okay. So the structures that have been set up are under the Intergovernmental Relations Act, and the Council of Governors is an institution for all the governors. They elect a chairman who will then be a vice chairman of the summit. Mm-hmm. The summit is where the chairman of the summit is the president. The vice chairman of the summit is the chairman of the council. We'll come to the summit in a minute.
So at the moment, you're the chairman of the council. The Nairobi governor, Evans Kidero, is your deputy.
Yes.
So let's come to the summit, because I believe you're organizing one in the next week or so.
Yes.
What exactly is it? How does it interface between yourselves and the president?
That is where we take all the issues that affect the implementation of devolution, and also issues to do with the development. For example, you may want to, counties will be doing various development activities, but they need to be in sync with the national issues. And there is need to process all that, and there is need for an understanding between national government and the county governments. Remember, the relationship is mutual.
So in terms of the hierarchy, you were saying that the President of the Republic is the chairman of the summit.
Yes.
And then you become the vice chair.
Yes.
of the summit.
Yes, that is the law.
Okay.
Yes, so and then there is it is an institution, because we have a secretariat and we've got various departments and technical staff.
How often do you meet?
As often as is necessary, but not, we must meet at least twice in a year.
Twice in a year, that's the summit.
Yeah,
what summit. About the Council of County Governors? How often do you meet?
As often as is necessary, depending on the issues that are required to be handled.
Okay, so let's get to what has been annoying Kenyans, really. You know, your fellow governors agitating for flags and other trappings of power status, really.
Yeah, this is really not the governors have never agitated for flags.
No.
We were sworn in on 27th, and when we finished the swearing in, the flags were in our cars. We went to Naivasha and we were told, why are you flying flags? Then we were surprised. Who put the flags in our cars in the first place? It was the government itself. It was through the transition authority. And then the debate arose as to who should fly flags. And at that stage, we were having a doubt as to whether national government is interested in implementing constitution. But they told us, no, forget about the flag, go and do your own flag. And they made several other statements. They referred to 1963 laws. They had also brought in a very strong provincial administration, stronger than it were, even though they were talking about reforming it. Now, it looked like their library. No, provincial administration. And it looked like they were actually referring to the library of 1963. And remember, 1963, that is what they did to destroy aspects of devolution at that stage. And when they told us that, it appeared clearly that their mindset was different, because they were referring to a law of 1963. If that is where their library is, that is what was really sending shivers down our spines. And remember, that law was done 50 years ago. It did not even take into account the fact that there will be a deputy president. For example, can a deputy president fly a flag? He's not in that list. Can the current cabinet secretaries fly flags? They are not in that list. So who should then fly the flags? And then you see, we wanted ourselves to be true to the fact that Kenya is one indivisible nation, one indivisible sovereign nation. And if you tell us to go and fly different flags in all parts of the Republic and probably sing different national anthems of those counties, which direction are you driving us to? We would like to remain one nation, and the flag is the uniting symbol together with the national flag. So we really want to remain as one indivisible nation, as is stated in the Constitution.
Is that matter now resolved? What can you
we are flying the flags. The Attorney General said he will, actually the issue is that we should sort out the legislation itself because it is a bit archaic.
I think I agree with the issue of the flags, the governors are flying flags, because first of all we need to make the governor visible where they are. Yes. At least people on the ground should realize that there is a difference. Yes. And I don't think, to me, it's really a big issue. Because even in the counties themselves, we used to have those flags.
Yes.
And the governor being seen out there by the people. Probably what they need to sort out is the difference, as he's saying, as Mheshimiwa Ruto is saying, that who is supposed to fly this flag? Is the deputy president supposed to fly one? Is the cabinet secretary supposed to fly flags? But I think for the governor to be felt, to be seen on the ground, I think we need whatever symbol you are going to use, whether it's that flag or whatever else, it needs to be agreed on.
Okay. What about the title? There was an issue about the title. Your Excellency Isaac Ruto.
Really, the title is not a big issue. You choose to call me what you want, really.
Okay.
Because the title
you,
does not quite affect my performance.
Right.
It does not affect my delivery of service.
Which is probably why you were elected the chairman of the Governor's Council.
Surely. So whether you call me honorable, I'm okay with whatever name you call me, really.
But
so
this is not
a major. It is not a major issue. We all resolve in Navaja that this is a matter of tradition. You can choose to call the governors Their Excellence like they are called in other countries, or you can even choose to ignore, as long as they are governors. Really.
But I think it's an issue because the county reps are calling themselves honorable.
Yes.
Well, how would Kenyans differentiate between a member of parliament, a senator for that matter, a governor, and the president? If you have so many people calling themselves honorables,
yes.
And Your Excellency, you are calling the President Your Excellency, you are calling the Governor Your Excellency, we don't know how even to call the senators and the governors, really. Because the county reps currently, as we are talking, they are calling themselves honorable county rep.
Yes.
But let's just explore his response further. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing your work. You already have the designation of senator, representative, governor. Why are we splitting hairs over whether you're called excellency or
but
honorable?
But it's very important, Udwak, because we are talking of protocol.
Protocol.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We are talking of protocol. We shall have functions where Honorable Ruto is there, the senator is there, the MP is there, the president is there. How do you refer to them? Because those titles are also important, much as we want to dismiss them. But for matters of protocol, we need to know how to address them. It would be very embarrassing if I went to Mheshimiwa Ruto's office and I'm using the wrong title. If I find him with the county rep, do I call him Mheshimiwa and I'm also calling the county rep Mheshimiwa?
But you would call him Senator Ruto and the county rep representative. You know, we seem to be so hung up on the trappings of power and status and protocol, when, as he's been saying, there are much larger issues at hand, service delivery. You know, and so when we have governors agitating about flags, when we have, fly the national flag or fly the county flag, when we have no water, roads, electricity, children out of school,
you see, what you don't
isn't this a case of misplaced priorities?
What you don't seem to understand is there's a clash between the county representatives and the governors. In fact, the PCs used to have flags.
The PCs do.
They do use flags.
And these PCs
they have that triangular flag.
Yes.
And probably those flags will be transmitted, will be given to the county representative. So it means there is going to be a clash in terms of title and in terms of power.
Right.
So that's why the clash is.
Yeah, but really, I wouldn't want Kenyans to spend too much time debating on issues to do with the trappings of power. Yes. Our real concern is delivery of service and whether Kenyans have the Kenyan establishment has agreed to devolve. You see, remember the Constitution talks about as one sovereign nation, whose sovereignty is exercised at two levels, at the national level and at the county level. That sovereignty is exercised at those two levels. Okay. Now, the national government, at some stage, I'm not talking about the current national government as it is. I think it was central government then, because all the issues we've had from the current president is that he's devoted to devolution and that he really wants it to be up and running. There are no issues as of now, but there were certain bureaucrats a week or two ago who were really, and they are still around, they really felt they should downgrade the role of governors to that of the mayor, former mayor. And they were telling us,
who are these bureaucrats? Who's
the bureaucrats are in OP.
No, in the office of the president.
The office of the president.
Right. So just to be clear, in terms of the check on governors, you report to the president?
No, we don't report to the president. These are two distinct levels of government, each distinct and completely separate in terms of reportage. Right. We exercise the sovereignty of the people at that level. So and the people who check us are our county reps. That brings us to the question of why we were saying now we want these people to be given reasonable salaries so that they are reasonably able to do their job of oversight over governance. Because if they become too low, then they feel they are completely
and that much more brings us to the issue of the debate on salaries.
Yes.
How much, for example, the people that you are going to employ as to join your board, or and other staff in your county, how much are they paid? Because you want to attract the best.
Right.
You want to say you want to get this guy who is a doctor and engineer to come and join you in your county for the welfare of that county, the good for the good of those people, the people in your county.
Yes.
If the governor is earning 500,000, say, for example, how much then would these other guys be getting? And would we be able to attract the best from the south to come and serve in the county?
That is really the challenge, and that was our problem in Naivasha. We called Cheche to come and explain to us about salaries.
This is the Commissioner on Revenue Allocation Chairman.
And then what happens was that people misinterpreted to mean governors want to discuss their salaries. We never raised issues about our salaries. We were asking about salary structure. If you see what the governors have done, we've advertised for positions, but we've not attached there any salary scale. So we wanted to ask the Salaries Commission, so what are we about to do now? What do we do about all these things? What are the salary scales? And then the press, yourselves and others, started saying governors want salaries, government wants salaries. We have never talked about our own salaries. We are talking about salaries as a tool of management. We are employing people. In which scales are we going to employ these people? So what do we do? How do we move when you are told establish a government and there are no salary scales and you are told you cannot set the salary scales? That was our serious concern because we got shocked when the whole thing was misinterpreted, yet we are expected to provide a service. And then it ties down to what you are saying. If you are telling me to employ an executive to handle finance, and you want me to pay him less than 200,000, about 120,000, and we are giving him 10 billion to plan for the whole year, what are you telling me? Whom do you want me to attract? No, these are new centers of growth, and we want to grow the counties so that the national growth levels go to the double digit we are talking about. And therefore, we want job creators. We are not interested in job seekers going to run our counties. We want job creators. How are we going to get the job creators to the counties? By giving them very low salaries? This, in our view, was an attempt to completely cripple the county governments from the very beginning. You get poorly
compensated individuals, poor quality individuals.
Yes, then you get poor quality service, then it is a disaster. Then these county governments are useless. That is where we were in 1963. We denied them resources and we denied them the enabling
environment.
Yes.
So where does the situation lie now? Has it been resolved, or is it with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission?
We are discussing, and there is a very good response from the Public Service Commission. And there is also very good response from Treasury and other government departments. There is also tremendous goodwill from His Excellency the President. That's why you find the whole place is now quiet. We are engaging, discussing, and that is why we are having a summit possibly next week or early the following week to clear up these issues.
As the chairman of the council, Honorable Ruto, then talking to a few governors, even the issue of housing, let's face it, if the governor is going to stay in the former county council offices, dilapidated offices,
Yes.
What is the image that we are trying to create? Because what I think is the governors are fearing the backlash from the members of the public. But
yes.
the truth is, look at the case of Kiambu County.
Yes.
Where they have the governor, William Kabogo, has issues with the MPs, saying you should be in Kiambu, him is in Thika. But let's face it, compare the offices in Thika and Kiambu without looking at the inconveniences of people, how they get to Thika. But for the status of the governor to be seen, that this is a governor, this is like the president of our county, then you are staying in a dilapidated office somewhere. Don't you think it is impacting badly on devolution at the initial stages?
It is impacting terribly, and that is why we are having issues with the provincial administration, because the provincial administration was supposed to be restructured to respect and accord with the system of government that will be in place. But apparently, the legislation that was nicked in through Bunge, at the last minute was the last legislation, actually entrain the provincial administration and give them even more powers. Now they are rubbishing governors all over the place, not just in Kiambu, even in Kakamega, where Oparanya has been elected by 12 constituents, just like Kiambu. The provincial commissioner sits in the hill where everybody was, including State House. Oparanya has gone down to the valley. No one can trace where his offices are. And then in other places like Samburu or such like other places like Northeastern, you live about 200 kilometers away. When you arrive in town, there is nowhere for you to stay, and there is no office. So the real problem we are having is that governors have not been enabled by being given offices. Previously, under the Transition Authority Act, we had given powers to the Transition Authority to identify the officers. But when this law came in, it was rubbished. That everything. But
you are in Parliament. You are the ones who passed it.
You know, I must that is true. I was a member of Parliament.
Yes.
But this legislation was delayed until the last week. The last week I had to go for campaigns. I wouldn't be here if I had stayed on one more week. I would now be home. Like my colleagues who stayed on up to the end, they didn't make it. But so I'm simply telling you that when we ran away to go and campaign, this provincial administration law was passed in a worse form than it was before.
But we now have the Senate in place.
Yes.
And one of the roles of the Senate is to protect.
Yes.
And make sure to protect the county governments.
Yes.
The counties and the county governments. How are you relating with the Senate? Because that's where I think your refuge is.
Yes, we are now going to engage the Senate. We were doing a few preliminaries. We will engage the Senate, and there's tremendous goodwill on the part of senators because, you know, Senate is there to protect devolution. Because a senator represents the county and the county government. He does not represent anybody else, the county and the county government. Therefore, we expect them to take over these issues and process them.
Okay, we have to take a break now. I've been having my ear bended from the gallery. This is Cheche, live on Citizen TV. We're speaking to Governor Isaac Ruto of Bomet County. Do keep your thoughts and questions for him coming in on SMS 2442 or tweet Cheche_TV. After the break, we continue our conversation about the interaction between the different levels of government, but we'll also focus on his vision for Bomet County.